This is the World Financial Report podcast. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us is our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping on February 7th, 2019. Our time is 8:12 Mountain. U.S. dollar this morning at 96.45. Canadian dollar 75.38. The pound 129. Euro 113. Gold is at 13.10. Silver 15.66. Gold-silver ratio 83:84. Palladium is 1372. It just continues to rally. Platinum is 804. WTI 53.50. Brent is 62.42. Nat gas 263. Bitcoin in US dollars 3,362.90. Bitcoin in Canadian $4,460.72. The Dow this morning at 25,216. S&P 2,731. Nasdaq 73.13. TSX 15,712. State of the Union with Donald Trump. You can see how polarized the United States is. CBS did a poll. Republicans, 97% approved of the speech. Democrats, 30% approved of the speech. Independents, 82% approved of the speech. He talked about the wall, getting funding for that. Coming up on February 15th, the short-term deal that they had in place to fund government will end. Either the government shuts down again or he's looking to do an executive order. One thing I did like, he touched on the United States will not be a socialist country. Harold, overall, Donald Trump is in a position now where he's fighting the Democrats for that wall. We will have to see. Will he ultimately win? I think he does get it at some point. How he does it, not too sure, but it more than likely will happen.
I agree. He's he's steadfast. He's made the promise. It was his biggest promise for elections, and I believe he's going to somehow end up getting it. If he has to shut down the government again, he's going to do it. He's going to do whatever he needs to do in order to keep his word, and it's vital if he's ever going to be reelected. I watched, part of the State of the Union. I really can't stand watching that because of the continuous clapping and everything. He's such a poor speaker. He's just not believable, the way that the words that he chooses and the way that he speaks. But all in all, he's sticking to his guns. I also agree, as many do, that the borders are unprotected here. And it could, and it probably has, allowed the wrong people into the country. So he's not wrong in doing it. It's just at what cost. And the fact is that the last government shutdown almost would have paid for the wall in itself. So if they shut the government down again, you're looking at a situation that they could have just funded it and not shut down the government, and everything would have worked out. But I'm pretty sure that we are going to see that wall, as much as the Democrats hate to see that. But I got to tell you, the Democrats are not doing so well. Watching on the news last night that 3 major Democrats are all in trouble at this point for, sexual situations and blackface situations and all that. And there's 3 major Democrats that could be forced to leave office, and that would be very detrimental, to their cause type of thing. So it's a never-ending story, Randy. In politics, there's always something going on, and, never ever a dull moment.
Central banks are on the biggest gold buying spree in a half century. This story is in our free weekly newsletter. Get the newsletter from Harold. Connect with him at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Central banks bought more bullion last year than any time since 1971, when the United States ended the gold standard. Government added 651.5 tons of gold to their coffers in 2018, a 74% increase from the previous year. Harold, that is a positive sign for those that believe in hard assets and have gold and silver at all times in their portfolio for profit and protection. Does not surprise me. They're doing this, but it also begs the question, what do they know that we don't know that they're loading up on gold? What do you think, Harold?
That's a very interesting question. I was just asking myself the same thing because, the fact is that we have seen gold break over 1,300, but if they bought it in 2018, the market was really lethargic last year. It didn't do an awful lot. We know that gold, is based off of and trades based off of the U.S. dollar. and the U.S. dollar is still very strong. So either their feeling is that there's more to this political U.S. political situation than meets the eye, and they are expecting something to happen there. But without either high inflation or a weak dollar, I just don't see why gold would rally. In fact, the thing that surprises me the most about the metals is the fact that palladium is so much higher than the price of gold. I mean, it makes no sense at this time why palladium would be trading at the price that it is. So not an awful lot makes sense at this point. A lot of people are putting a lot of credence in the fact that gold has closed several days above 1,300. But as we all know, 1,300 is only a psychological number. The big number for gold is 1,380. It would have to close twice above that number in order for gold to break out. Why would central banks be buying gold? The only reason that I can really think of is they think that on the political and world front that there's going to be issues. Myself as a trader, somebody who's traded commodities, for over 35 years, I just don't see the market breaking out at this point unless, something very severe happened with the dollar, with interest rates, or with inflation, or with Trump being thrown out of office. And at this point here, none of those seem to be, in the cards at this time. So I'm as baffled as you are as to why they would buy that amount of gold when there's really nothing on the horizon that I see that is going to push gold above 1,380.
It's my belief gold is money. Maduro sold 40% of Venezuela's gold last year amid a cash crunch. Now the president, and this is controversial because there's two guys saying they're president of Venezuela right now, blew through more than 40% of Venezuela's gold reserves last year in a desperate bid to fund government programs and pay millions to bondholders. The government sold a total of 73 tons of gold to two firms in the United Arab Emirates and another in Turkey. Harold, this says to me, as I've always believed, when you really need gold, it comes through for you. Gold can be converted to money, and here's a prime scenario that Venezuela, when they were in difficult straits, went to gold and turned it into cash.
Well, gold is cash. I mean, it trades on an exchange, so it has value every minute that it's trading. Gold trades on the global markets, basically 24 hours a day. So it has to be money. And the fact is that you always know what the value of gold is, where you don't know the value of other hard assets that don't trade on exchanges. So I agree with you 100%. Gold has always been money. Gold has always have value, and gold has never gone to zero like certain stocks and other, financial instruments have. So gold has strong value. Gold at $1,300 today is a very strong price for gold. Obviously, what we would like to see is a breakout in gold to where gold could start to make the moves that it should have made back in 2011 when it hit $1,900. So, again, I agree with you 100%. Gold is definitely money. It's definitely cash. The fact that Venezuela is poor at this point when they are so rich in oil, gold, and diamonds really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. As a socialist country, basically, if you cannot support everybody. There's no way in the world that people have incentive to live a better life when the government is taking care of them. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen eventually in the United States if a guy like Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton ever got in. People that don't want to work, that want to be taken care of from the government will be. That's what Bernie Sanders is all about. He's all about taking care of people that don't take care of themselves. And again, I think it's so detrimental for the country to be in a situation like that because there's no motivation to do better. Just like high taxes takes away your motivation to grow your business. The fact is that Bernie Sanders has put into a bill into Parliament saying that he would like to see a 70% tax on on long-term family assets type of thing. So that would be crippling to the country. That would be crippling to tax somebody 70% if they're worth over $10 million. I mean, that takes away all incentive to do better. That's what happened back in London in the days in Britain when the taxes were high as 70%. It took away all incentive to do better, to go out and start a business, to hire people, to take the risk of running a business and trying to do better when 70% is going to taxes. There's just no way in the world that you can survive or a business can survive under those type of parameters. So I'm very concerned if the Democrats ever got back into office and they adopted Bernie Sanders type of mentality, I think you would have a mass exodus in the United States of wealthy people leaving this country.
Then you have, out of the state of New York, recently elected the Congresswoman Alexandria Cortez. Now, she was the one that we talked about on a past podcast, saying that she wanted 70% tax on the wealthy. She also talks about in 10 to 12 years, we wouldn't be using cars or flying in planes. So you can clearly see some of these people are not really in the real world. I was listening to an interview on the radio. A guy had written a book about the change from oil to renewable. He felt it would take 100 years. This is something that you cannot change overnight. And yet you have a young Congresswoman, Ocasio-Cortez, coming out and saying that in 12 years, no cars, no planes. There was an article that we have in our free weekly newsletter where the truckers were saying that if the truck drivers stopped trucking, grocery stores would be empty within a week. Harold, don't you agree? I totally agree with that statement. I know I have a friend who works at Costco, and the trucks are constantly coming and dropping off. People are coming in the front as the trucks are coming in the back, and then they're loading up and going home. That's the system. I don't know how taking away trucks is going to allow people to eat. And you have all these food services, skip the dishes, and even meals in a box that are delivered to your home where you can make the meals. Getting rid of vehicles, I think it's just a complete dream. I just don't understand it at all.
I don't know what they're smoking, Randy, but that makes zero sense to me. That's never going to happen. Not in our lifetime, that's for certain. And again, you're 100% right. If it wasn't for the truckers, all the grocery stores would be empty, and that's 100%. So, I heard that there was a potential strike, and that would really cripple the country. So we'll have to see what happens. But I just don't know where these politicians get these ideas, and how somebody could sit back as a government elected official and come out with these stupid statements and touting a 70% tax. I mean, it's infuriating, to be honest with you. You work so hard throughout your life to do well and to be able to do well for your family. And then, people like her are looking for every way they can to steal that money away from you and give it to people that aren't willing to work. It's really disgusting. I really hate to hear those type of things. And it's so counterproductive and so against what the United States and Canada, any free country, is about, which is work hard, do well, and reap the benefits of it. Not work hard, do well, and once you make it, pay it to all the people that aren't willing to do what you're willing to do. So it really bothers me when I hear comments like that, and I lose all respect for these people because there's no way in the world that if they're successful themselves, that they actually believe this stuff, that they would actually work and take their own money and give it or donate it to people that aren't doing well. Let's say, for example, that politician was making $250,000 a year, and after taxes, she's walking away with $150,000. Well, why don't you keep $50,000 to live on and take that other $100,000 and give it to people on the street that aren't doing as well as you? I guarantee you, Randy, you will never, ever see that happening. You will never see Bernie Sanders saying, take 90% or 80% of my money, just leave me the bare necessities, what I need to live on, and give all the rest to the people that aren't making it. You will never, ever see that happen. These guys talk out of both sides of their mouth, and they're absolutely sickening because they will never, ever do what they want other people to do.
Al Gore, prime example of that, flying around in jets, lecturing people. Elizabeth Warren, a senator out of Connecticut, just got caught here. She's another one that really wants to tax the wealthy. In Texas, when she took the bar exam, she listed herself as a Native American woman, and she was always saying that she was Native American, but she wasn't. One theory that I've always had, Harold, is that, okay, let's say we go to this socialist world that they want. Take all the money and it's equally distributed. You'd have a Harold Siegel that would immediately start making money off the money that he had. You'd have somebody's brother-in-law who would lose it all by gambling or drinking or Lord knows what. So day two, what do? To try and make things fair at all times, it's literally something that cannot be done.
No, it can't be done, Randy. It can't be done. And the fact is that I really do believe that you would have a mass exodus. If all of a sudden the very wealthy were being charged 70%, we're being charged. There's no way in the world that wealthy Americans are going to live that way. They're just not going to do it. It's against everything that the U.S. stands for. The fact is that this is a land of opportunity where you could be anybody you want to be. Look at Tom Brady, drafted in the 6th round, 199th. Nobody expected him to make it and turned out to be the greatest football player of all time and a multi-mil. You never know what somebody has within inside of them. You cannot restrict somebody's, passion and desire to be successful and to do better. It's just within certain people. And you're 100% right. If you divided up all of the money and gave everybody the same amount of money, some would be broke the next day and some would be wealthy again the next day. And then what do? You redistribute again? Obviously not fair. That system would never, ever work. You would see, as difficult as it is to say that people are going to pick up and leave the country, the fact is that when it comes to losing most of their money, or if these were the new laws of the land type of thing, people would leave. There's no way in the world that I would ever live in a country where I'm being taxed 70%. I mean, you'd be a pauper. You'd be a peon after that. So, no, it's just very disturbing to hear this type of talk and realize that we're one election away from this happening. If Trump continues to, to do what he's doing and he doesn't get the job done, and it's a very close race and the Democrats are getting all these young people that, are the entitlement group that expect the government to take care of them. And obviously with Trump in office, that's never going to happen. Well, they're going to vote Democrat because they want what they think is their entitlement. They are the entitlement, group. So it's a very disturbing situation. I'd be very, very concerned right now if the Democrats got back into office, especially with a guy like Bernie Sanders.
Due to the polar vortex ripping through the United States and a cold snap in central Canada and then spreading into Alberta, and they've had a heck of a time with the Teslas in freezing temperatures. One of the main reasons, the batteries are draining very, very fast. It's something that people need to think about when they go out and buy electric vehicles, Harold.
You better believe it. That never even really, I never even really thought about that. I'm not a fan of those type of cars because it would make me nervous, just driving to think that you're going to run out of power or whatever, and then you have to find, a station and sit there for 15 or 20 minutes or half an hour and plug your car. This is just not something that is of interest to me. However, that is a huge concern. The fact is that you've got an electric car, you've got a Tesla or whatever, and you're up in the outskirts of the city, and you've got a 2 or 3 hour drive in the freezing cold, and all of a sudden your battery dies on you, you're done. I think that's a terrible situation. And obviously, you're starting to see the ramifications of how those batteries will react in the freezing cold. So, man, there's just so many things going on at this particular point. The markets aren't reflecting everything. They're sort of in a quandary at this point here. You've got gold now over 1,300, but again, why in the world and who would ever think that palladium would be more expensive than gold? Just never, ever you would think that would be a possibility. In actual fact, in the day, there was never, you would never think that, gold would have been more expensive than platinum. And now platinum is the weakest of those three metals. So it's very interesting. Again, I don't believe that palladium can stay at that level, and I don't think that platinum is going to stay down at around the 800 price. But we'll have to see what the near future brings. Again, in order for gold to really break out, something big has got to happen. So either got a big, huge drop in the U.S. dollar, that would do it. It would be a situation where Trump gets thrown out of office or impeached or something like that, and that would hurt the market and would definitely make gold run. But there's not a lot of situations right now. There's no shortages of gold. It's definitely tied into the U.S. dollar. And again, a lot would have to happen in my mind in order for gold to break out. So again, with the report that the central banks bought more gold last year than almost any other time is actually quite perplexing, because I just don't see that in the market at this time. But, they've been wrong before, and they'll be wrong again. I'm not saying that they're wrong by owning gold. I think the gold is one of the most important assets that you can own. However, in all the years that I've traded it, I've seen several situations where the price of gold has been manipulated. The biggest one was in 2011 when we hit $1,900, and the thing was, what the exchanges were told to raise the margin requirements on gold so substantially that the price of gold plummeted. And it plummeted from 1,900 all the way down to 1,050. Hence the price of 1,050. When I talk about the floor price in gold at this point, 1,050 is major support for the gold price. On the upside, 1,380 is the major resistance level. It would have to break and close twice above 1,380 in order for gold to be able to break out and go back up. But what is going to push gold over 1,380? We saw it happen last year, where the price got to 1,370 and change, and then came falling all the way back. So those prices that I give you are extremely important. For those that trade futures and options and things like that, unless you're an expert trader, you're trading in a market right now that is trading in a range. And trading in a range, for those of us that are long-term traders, just doesn't do us any good, because the carrying cost is more than what you're going to actually make on these smaller moves of gold. But you need to own something like gold at this point, because there are situations out there that could wreak havoc on the world markets. One of them, as we all know, when we talk about each time, is the $20 trillion debt in the United States. That's not going away. There's no way in the world that that's ever going to be paid back. And as interest rates went higher and higher, the cost of carrying that loan, that $20 trillion loan, was almost, they just couldn't do it. That's why I believe that the Federal Reserve is not raising interest rates anymore at this time, because of the pressure it was putting on the U.S. to pay the interest on that gigantic loan.
Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Rarecoloreddiamonds.com. A 552-carat diamond found in the Northwest Territories is now on display in New York. The largest diamond ever found in North America at 552 carats. The egg-sized fancy yellow diamond was discovered in October at the Divik Diamond Mine in the Northwest Territories. The mine is about 300 kilometers northeast of Yellowknife. James Pound, Executive Vice President of Dominion Diamond Mines, said the diamond's value is unclear because it still needs to be cut and polished. To me, it's priceless, he said. I don't even want to see it get cut. I just think it's a beautiful diamond as it stands. The company is going to consult experts around the world on how to liberate the most beautiful piece of polished stone out of this. Another story that came out this week was about yellow diamonds to increase in 2019. It's the Fancy Colored Research Foundation, and this is a quote from Eden Rachmanoff, who's the advisory board chairman. We are seeing a stagnant supply picture of important pink and blue fancy colored diamonds. Rare pinks and blues are very hard to come by and continue to command significant premiums. After more than 18 months, we're starting to see some price stability in commercial yellow fancy diamonds in line with the performance of white diamonds driven by lower availability. That is a huge positive for those that are invested in the rare colored diamond market at this time.
You bet it is. Very, very exciting. But, the fact is there has never been a large amount of blue or pink diamonds on the market. It's just becoming more and more difficult because when blue diamonds started going back to auction in 2005, the prices have done nothing but skyrocketed. A vivid blue diamond back in 2005, I remember selling at auction, for maybe $500,000 a carat for a vivid blue of size and quality. But last year, we saw vivid blue diamonds, the odd time one would come to a market, and they were up to $5 million a carat. So between 2005 and 2018, 13 years, you've seen the largest increase in diamonds of any diamond class in blue diamonds. Now, you didn't see any red diamonds really come up for sale during that period of time. Very seldom at auction will you ever see a red diamond come for sale because they're the rarest of all and so few of them. Even though the prices of reds, I don't believe at this point here, would sell as high as a vivid blue of size and quality. But the fact is that we very, very seldom ever see a red diamond come to auction. Now that the Argyle mine is closing, 95% of all pinks will be gone. But Argyle pinks are small diamonds. 95% of them are under a quarter carat. The largest ones to come out are around 2 to 2.5 carats, and they're worth a bundle of money, but that's not like a 15 or 20 carat pink that would come onto the market like the Graph pink or something like that. So there's very, very few of those diamonds available. When they do come on out for sale, they're bought immediately, and they normally go for record prices. So this doesn't surprise me in any way. And now we are going to see yellow diamonds really start to take off also, of high quality. There are some large yellow diamonds around. I just saw a matched pair of 40 carats in total yellow diamond earrings. They were fancy yellows. They were over 20 carats a piece, almost identical. Something like that going to market would sell in the 7 figures. They're just phenomenal. So I think it's going to be very exciting. When we do see a diamond come up for sale at auction, I believe they're going to continue to sell for record prices.
We're at the end of our podcast. Some final notes. Asia welcomed in the Lunar Year of the Pig on Tuesday with visits to temples, family banquets, and the world's biggest travel spree. Welcome the Year of the Pig. And we say to our Asian friends, have an outstanding year. Don't forget, Family Day Monday in British Columbia. Eventually, they will be moving it to be in sync with the rest of Canada because the following Monday, it will be Family Day for the rest of Canada. Valentine's Day is coming up on Thursday. Do not forget that. On the sporting front, Herald's Toronto Maple Leafs tied up one of the best hockey players in the world, Austin Matthews, 5-year contract, getting paid $11.6 million. Harold, all they need to do now is sign Mitch Marner and got all their good young players locked up for a good period of time. Will no doubt be taking runs at Stanley Cups. And then the New England Patriots, Harold's favorite team, won the Super Bowl. It was, if you're a Pats fan, a roller coaster game on the edge of your seat. Belichick and Brady, they outdid McVay and Goff, the young guns, and even McVay said after the game, I was outcoached. But congratulations to the New England Patriots, 6 Super Bowls. What an incredible feat. Harold, you must be so proud.
I am. I gave them all my positive energy. I locked myself in my room, and I'm taking partial credit for that win. So, the thing is that in our lives, they get complicated. Things happen and you get stressed, or things happen in your life that, just affect you. It's, for some of us, sports is a release. It's a way to deal with your everyday issues and your problems and your stress and that everyday life brings to you. So for somebody like myself and Randy and many, many people out there, and as Canadians, we love hockey and we love sports. I just happen to, on top of everything, love the New England Patriots. And for 18 years, they've been a phenomenal team and have brought me a tremendous amount of joy. To see them win their 6th Super Bowl, they've been, in 18 years that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have been with the team, they've been there 30% of the time. In actual fact, they've been there 50% of the time. In 18 years, this was their 9th Super Bowl. They've won, 30% of the Super Bowls that they've attempted to win. So I'm just absolutely ecstatic. I mean, in the time that, of the 18 years that Brady has been the quarterback. So it was just a great game as a fan, and it was a big defensive game. I just found it thrilling. I was on the edge of my seat, especially, last quarter. So congratulations to them. Canadian sports are doing well. The Leafs are doing well. The Raptors are doing well. And let's hope that continues. I just want to wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very, very profitable day.
Thank you very much, Harold, for your knowledge. For those fans of Boston sports teams, you look at it, the Red Sox winning, you have the Patriots winning, the Bruins won a Stanley Cup, the Celtics won an NBA championship. Over the last 20 years, Boston sports fans have been definitely spoiled with all their success. But congratulations to the New England Patriots on their Super Bowl win. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report podcast with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.